Roses for Valentine's Day. Been there, done that, and then they died a week later. Switch it up this year and gift your loved ones, or just yourself, some pretty pink succulents. Not only will these little guys add a pop of color to your home, but they're super easy to care for. Here are 12 pink succulents perfect for Valentine's decor. But before that, welcome to my channel. Echeveria, blue peacock, is a succulent that thrives on neglect, requiring well-draining soil, ample sunlight, and infrequent watering. It's important to allow the soil to dry out completely between waterings to prevent root rot, and to provide plenty of direct sunlight. During the growing season, a balanced succulent fertilizer can be used sparingly. Echeveria, blue peacock, thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. When grown indoors, place it near a south-facing window. Outdoors, it can tolerate full sun, but afternoon shade is recommended during the hottest summer months. Water sparingly, allowing the soil to dry out completely between waterings. Overwatering is a common mistake that can lead to root rot. Water more frequently during the growing season, spring and summer, and reduce watering in the winter when the plant is dormant. Never pour water into the rosette, as this can cause it to rot. Use a well-draining potting mix specifically designed for succulents or cacti. A gritty mix amended with perlite or coarse sand is ideal. Echeveria, blue peacock, does not require frequent fertilization. If you choose to fertilize, use a balanced succulent fertilizer diluted to half strength and apply sparingly during the growing season. Echeveria, blue peacock, prefers temperatures between 60 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 27 degrees Celsius. Protect it from frost and extreme temperatures. Remove any dead or yellowing leaves as they appear to maintain the plant's health and appearance. Echeveria, blue peacock, can be propagated from leaf or stem cuttings. Watch for common succulent pests like mealybugs and scale. Good air circulation can help prevent fungal issues. Echeveria, snow angel, requires bright, indirect sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering to thrive. It's sensitive to overwatering, so allow the soil to dry out completely between waterings. During winter, reduce watering frequency as the plant may enter dormancy. Echeveria, snow angel, needs bright, indirect sunlight. A south-facing window is ideal, but be cautious of intense afternoon sun, which can scorch the leaves. Use a well-draining potting mix, such as a cactus or succulent mix, with added perlite or vermiculite. This prevents the soil from retaining too much moisture, which can lead to root rot. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry. Allow excess water to drain away to avoid soggy soil. In winter, reduce watering frequency as the plant may be dormant. Echeveria, snow angel, prefers warm temperatures and can tolerate some humidity. Echeverias generally do not require frequent fertilizing. Replacing the potting soil once a year should provide sufficient nutrients. It's common for this succulent to slow down or go dormant during the winter. Reduce watering frequency during this period. Echeveria, snow angel, can be easily propagated from leaves. To care for Echeveria elegans, Monroe, provide it with plenty of bright, indirect sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering. Water only when the soil is completely dry, and protect it from frost and extreme temperatures. Ensure proper air circulation to prevent fungal issues and be mindful of pests like mealybugs. Echeveria, Monroe, thrives in bright, indirect sunlight, requiring 6 to 8 hours daily. Indoor plants should be placed near a sunny window, while outdoor plants may need afternoon shade during summer. Use a well-draining cactus or succulent mix to prevent root rot. Consider adding perlite or coarse sand to improve drainage. Water deeply but infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out completely between waterings. In the active growing season, spring, summer, water roughly every 2 to 3 weeks, but adjust based on signs of overwatering or underwatering. During the dormant season, winter, reduce or stop watering altogether, especially if conditions are frosty. Echeveria, Monroe, prefers temperatures between 15 degrees Celsius to 21 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Maintain low humidity to prevent rot, which is especially important during winter. Echeveria, Monroe, generally doesn't require frequent fertilization. If desired, Use a balanced liquid fertilizer diluted to half strength during the growing season. Be vigilant for mealybugs, which can be identified by white, fluffy residue or tiny white bugs. Treat infestations with a cotton swab dipped in rubbing alcohol. Ensure good air circulation to prevent fungal diseases. Remove dead or damaged leaves to maintain the plant's appearance and prevent pest harborage. Repot every 2 years or when the plant outgrows its pot, using fresh, well-draining soil. Echeveria, tang snow, like other succulents, thrives on bright light, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering. It prefers a gritty, well-draining soil mix and should be watered only when the soil is completely dry to the touch. Overwatering is a common issue that can lead to root rot, so it's best to err on the side of underwatering. Echeveria tang snow needs bright, indirect sunlight, ideally for at least 6 hours a day. A south-facing or west-facing window is a good location. If natural light is insufficient, consider using a grow light. Be cautious of intense midday sun, as it can scorch the leaves. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry. Allow excess water to drain away to prevent soggy soil. In general, water less frequently during the winter months when growth slows down. Feel the leaves. Plump, firm leaves indicate sufficient water, while soft, wrinkled leaves suggest the plant needs watering. A well-draining soil mix is crucial. A mix of cactus or succulent potting mix with perlite, pumice, or coarse sand is ideal. Ensure the pot has drainage holes to prevent water from accumulating at the bottom. Echeverias generally don't require frequent fertilization. A light feeding with a diluted succulent fertilizer during the growing season, spring and summer, can be beneficial. Echeverias may go dormant during winter, meaning their growth will slow down. Water less frequently during this period. Repot every couple of years or when the plant becomes root-bound. Use a pot that is slightly larger than the previous one and ensure good drainage. Remove any dead or damaged leaves by gently peeling them off. Echeverias prefer temperatures between 65 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 to 27 degrees Celsius, and are not cold hardy. While they can tolerate some humidity, high humidity can lead to fungal issues, so good air circulation is important. Regularly inspect your plant for pests like mealybugs or scale. If you find any, treat them with a suitable insecticide or insecticidal soap. To care for Echeveria, red wine, provide well-draining soil, ample sunlight, and infrequent watering. Water only when the soil is completely dry, and avoid getting water on the leaves to prevent rot. Protect from frost and extreme temperatures. Echeveria, red wine, thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. If grown indoors, place it near a sunny window, ideally one that gets at least 6 hours of sunlight per day. If the light is too intense, especially during the summer, provide some shade to prevent sunburn. Echeverias are drought-tolerant succulents, so they need to dry out between waterings. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry, and avoid getting water on the leaves, as this can lead to rot. Reduce watering frequency during the dormant winter months. Use a well-draining soil mix designed for succulents or cacti. A mix of potting soil, perlite, and sand can help improve drainage. Adding some grit or small clay balls at the bottom of the pot can also aid drainage. Temperature. Echeveria, red wine, prefers temperatures between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. Protect it from frost and extreme temperatures, as they are not cold hardy. Echeverias don't require frequent fertilization. You can feed them with a diluted liquid seaweed fertilizer every 2 weeks during the growing season, spring and summer. Repot when the plant outgrows its current container, typically in the spring. Mealybugs and gnats can be a problem, especially with overwatering. Isolate affected plants and treat with isopropyl alcohol. Echeverias can be propagated from leaf or stem cuttings. Echeveria, bravo. Care involves providing it with well-draining soil, bright light, and infrequent watering, similar to other Echeveria succulents. They are drought-tolerant and prefer to dry out between waterings to prevent root rot. Echeveria bravo thrives in bright, indirect light. A south-facing or west-facing window is ideal, or supplemental grow lights if natural light is insufficient. 6 hours of direct sunlight per day is a good goal, but avoid intense afternoon sun, especially in hotter climates, as it can scorch the leaves. If the plant stretches or becomes etiolated, leaves spaced far apart and the rosette opens up, it's a sign of insufficient light. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry, allowing excess water to drain away. Avoid getting water on the leaves, as this can lead to rot. Reduce watering frequency during the dormant winter months. A moisture meter or simply feeling the soil with your finger can help determine when it's time to water. Use a well-draining potting mix specifically formulated for cacti and succulents. A mix of potting soil, perlite, and sand is a good option. Ensure the pot has drainage holes to prevent water from accumulating at the bottom. Echeveria bravo has minimal fertilizer needs. If desired, use a balanced, slow-release fertilizer diluted to half or quarter strength in the spring when the plant is actively growing. Avoid fertilizing during the winter months. Remove any dead or damaged leaves to maintain the plant's appearance and prevent potential pest issues. Echeveria bravo can tolerate some frost, but prolonged cold temperatures can be harmful. Consider repotting if the plant outgrows its current container, using a slightly larger pot with fresh soil. Be mindful of pests like mealybugs and spider mites, and treat infestations promptly with appropriate methods. To care for an Echeveria Purple Heart, provide bright and direct sunlight for several hours daily to maintain its vibrant purple color, and ensure well-draining soil to prevent root rot. Water only when the soil is completely dry, and avoid overwatering, especially during dormancy in winter. Detailed Care Guide 1. Light. Echeveria Purple Heart thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. Direct sunlight, especially during the hottest part of the day, can scorch the leaves. If grown indoors, a south-facing window or grow lights can provide sufficient light. If the leaves start turning green, it's a sign of insufficient light. 2. Watering. Echeveria Purple Heart is a succulent and stores water in its leaves, so it needs infrequent watering. Water thoroughly only when the soil is completely dry to the touch, allowing excess water to drain away. Reduce watering frequency during the winter dormancy period. 3. Soil. Use a well-draining potting mix specifically designed for cacti and succulents. A mixture of cactus soil, perlite, and coarse sand provides good drainage. Avoid using heavy, water-retaining soil that can lead to root rot. 4. Temperature and humidity. Echeveria Purple Heart prefers moderate temperatures and humidity. Protect it from frost and freezing temperatures. Normal household humidity is usually sufficient. 5. Fertilizing. Echeveria Purple Heart does not require frequent fertilization. If desired, a balanced, diluted fertilizer can be applied during the growing season. Avoid fertilizing during the winter dormancy. 6. Propagation. Echeveria Purple Heart can be propagated from leaf or stem cuttings. Allow cuttings to callus over before planting in well-draining soil. Keep the soil lightly moist until roots develop. 7. Common problems. Green leaves, insufficient light, brown spots, overwatering, sunburn, faded leaves and stunted growth, insufficient light. To care for Echeveria Glam Pink, provide it with ample sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering, ensuring the soil dries out completely between waterings. Avoid overwatering to prevent root rot and protect it from frost. Propagation can be done through leaf cuttings or offsets. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Light. Echeveria Glam Pink thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. Aim for at least 6 hours of light per day. If growing indoors, a sunny windowsill is ideal. If outdoors, afternoon shade is recommended during the hottest summer months to prevent sunburn. Soil. Use a well-draining cactus or succulent mix. A mix of potting soil, perlite, and coarse sand or pumice works well. Watering. Echeverias are drought-tolerant and prefer to dry out between waterings. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry, and ensure excess water drains out of the pot. Avoid getting water on the leaves to prevent rot. Temperature. Echeverias are not cold-hardy and should be protected from frost. Fertilizing. During the growing season, spring and summer, you can fertilize every 4 to 6 weeks with a diluted, balanced liquid fertilizer. Propagation. Echeveria Glam Pink can be propagated from leaf cuttings or offsets. Allow cut surfaces to dry before planting in well-draining soil. To care for Echeveria Puggle, provide it with bright, indirect sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering, allowing the soil to dry out completely between waterings. Avoid overwatering to prevent root rot. Detailed care instructions. Light. Echeveria puggle thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. A south-facing window is ideal. If indoor light is insufficient, consider using a grow light. Soil. Use a well-draining cactus or succulent potting mix, or create your own by mixing regular potting soil with perlite or coarse sand. Watering. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry. Echeverias are drought-tolerant and prefer to dry out between waterings. Avoid wetting the leaves to prevent rot. Temperature. Echeverias prefer average household temperatures, around 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 degrees Celsius. Protect them from frost and freezing temperatures. Humidity. Echeverias prefer low humidity and dry conditions. Fertilizing. Echeverias don't require frequent fertilization. If desired, use a diluted balanced fertilizer during the growing season, spring and summer. Potting. Choose a pot with drainage holes to prevent waterlogging. Repot when the plant outgrows its current container, preferably in the spring. Pests and diseases. Echeverias can be susceptible to mealybugs and root rot. Monitor your plant regularly for any signs of pests or diseases. Dormancy. Echeverias may enter a dormant period during the winter months, requiring even less water. Echeveria. Red shallot. Care centers around providing ample sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering. These succulents thrive in bright, sunny locations, but should be introduced to direct sunlight gradually to avoid sunburn. Ensure the soil dries out completely between waterings to prevent root rot, and fertilize sparingly during the growing season. Here's a more detailed breakdown. Light. Echeveria. Red shallot. Needs plenty of sunlight to maintain its vibrant red color and compact form. Ideally, provide 6 or more hours of direct sunlight daily, or bright, indirect light. If growing indoors, place it near a south-facing window. Gradually acclimate the plant to direct sunlight to prevent sunburn. Watering. Echeverias are drought-tolerant succulents and prefer dry conditions. Water thoroughly only when the soil is completely dry. Avoid getting water on the leaves, as this can lead to rot. Reduce watering frequency during winter months when growth slows down. Consider bottom watering or using a squeeze bottle to water around the plant. Soil. Use a well-draining potting mix designed for cacti and succulents. A mix of cactus potting mix, perlite, and bonsai jack gritty mix can be used. Good drainage is crucial to prevent root rot. Fertilizing. Echeverias need very little fertilization. Apply a diluted, slow-release, all-purpose fertilizer during the growing season, spring, summer. Cease fertilizing during the winter months. Other care tips. Pruning. Remove any dead or damaged leaves by gently peeling them off. Pests. Mealybugs and spider mites can be problems. Treat with 70% isopropyl alcohol or a systemic insecticide. Repotting. Repot when the plant outgrows its container, using a pot that is only slightly larger. Temperature. Avoid prolonged exposure to freezing temperatures. Humidity. While they can tolerate some humidity, good air circulation is important. Echeveria. Ice green is a succulent that thrives with bright, indirect light, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering. It's important to let the soil dry out completely between waterings to prevent root rot. Avoid overwatering, especially during winter dormancy. A balanced liquid fertilizer can be used during the growing season to promote vibrant colors. Light. Echeveria. Ice green needs at least 4 to 6 hours of bright, indirect sunlight daily. Too little light can cause etiolation, stretching and loss of compact form. Too much direct sunlight can scorch the leaves. Soil. Use a well-draining potting mix, such as a cactus or succulent mix, or a blend of potting soil, perlite, and grit. Ensure the pot has drainage holes to prevent waterlogging. Watering. Water thoroughly when the soil is completely dry. Water less frequently during winter dormancy. Avoid getting water on the leaves, as this can lead to rot. Bottom watering is recommended. Fertilizing. Echeveria. Ice green doesn't require frequent fertilizing. A balanced liquid fertilizer can be used during the growing season, spring and summer every 2 weeks, according to cereal succulents. Temperature and humidity. Ideal temperature ranges 60 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius. Avoid high humidity. Other tips. Remove any dead or yellowing leaves from the bottom of the plant. Consider bottom watering to prevent water from sitting on the leaves. Provide good air circulation. If growing indoors, a south-facing window is ideal. To care for an Echeveria star mark succulent, provide it with plenty of bright, indirect sunlight, well-draining soil, and infrequent watering. Ensure the plant receives at least 6 hours of sunlight daily, preferably from a south or west-facing window for indoor plants. Use a succulent or cactus potting mix with added perlite or vermiculite for excellent drainage. Water thoroughly only when the soil is completely dry, and avoid getting water on the leaves to prevent rot. Echeveria star mark thrives in bright, indirect sunlight. Aim for at least 6 hours of light per day, especially for indoor plants. Use a well-draining succulent or cactus potting mix. Amend the soil with perlite or vermiculite to improve drainage. Water deeply when the soil is completely dry. Avoid overwatering, as this can lead to root rot. Reduce watering frequency during winter when growth slows down. Echeveria star mark prefers temperatures between 50 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 10 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius. Echeveria star mark doesn't need frequent fertilization. Repotting annually can provide enough nutrients, as they get most of their energy from sunlight. It's common for Echeveria star mark to go dormant in the winter, with reduced growth. Space out waterings more during this time. Unglazed clay pots are ideal for Echeveria as they allow for better air circulation and evaporation. Echeveria plants don't require pruning, but you can remove any dead or damaged leaves. Echeveria star mark can be propagated from leaves or offsets. To care for Echeveria succulents, including pink varieties, ensure they receive plenty of bright, indirect sunlight, use well-draining soil, and water sparingly. Avoid overwatering to prevent root rot. During the growing season, water when the soil is completely dry, and reduce watering in the winter when growth slows. Echeverias thrive in bright, indirect sunlight. Too much direct sunlight can scorch the leaves, while too little light can cause them to become etiolated, stretched and leggy. Use a well-draining potting mix specifically designed for cacti and succulents, or amend your own with perlite or sand for better drainage. Water deeply but infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out completely between waterings. In the summer, you may need to water more frequently, but always check the soil moisture before watering. Reduce watering in the winter when the plant is dormant. Echeverias prefer temperatures between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius to 27 degrees Celsius, during the day and no lower than 41 degrees Fahrenheit, 5 degrees Celsius, at night. They are not frost tolerant and should be protected from freezing temperatures. Echeverias don't require frequent fertilization. A diluted, slow-release fertilizer in the spring can be beneficial, but avoid fertilizing during the winter months. Remove any dead, damaged, or yellowing leaves by gently pulling them off. You can also trim faded flower stems. Keep an eye out for common succulent pests like mealybugs, spider mites, and scale. Treat infestations with insecticidal soap, neem oil, or rubbing alcohol. Repot your Echeveria when it outgrows its container, typically in the spring. Use a pot that is only slightly larger than the previous one and fresh, well-draining soil. This video explains how to care for Echeveria succulents. I hope you learned some tips and guide how to take care succulent, especially the pink varieties. Until next video uploads tips and garden guide. Thank you for watching. To God be the glory.